My name is Elena Thorne. I am 37. Last October, I sat at my mother's polished mahogany table while she beamed at me and said, "This is the final meal you'll eat under this roof." It wasn't an invitation to move on, it was an eviction notice. She had gathered the whole jury: my Aunt Clara, my cousin Maya, and her new partner Julian. Miriam looked so smug, so entirely certain of her dominion, that I almost felt a twinge of pity for the storm I was about to unleash. I reached into my leather satchel, pulled out a heavy envelope, and slid a single sheet across the linen. "Yours, too," I whispered. My mother's face drained of color, turning a sickly, translucent white. "You can't," she gasped. But I could. To understand how we reached that table, you have to go back 20 years to a house on Elderberry Lane, and the night my grandfather, Silas Vance, passed away. Silas was a master woodworker who built that wraparound porch with his own calloused hands in 1978. He called me Lark, a name no one else ever used. When I was 15, he told me the house was a promise, not just timber. He died of a stroke when I was 17. My mother took the news with a cold, flat indifference. A month later, she stood in the kitchen and lied. "There is no will, Lark," she said, her arms crossed tight. "Just debt and this old house. You can't go to university. I'm drowning here." I believed her. I withdrew my applications, took a retail job, and spent nearly 2 decades paying for a mortgage that didn't exist. It was my first surrender. 3 years ago, I started working at Sterling & Cross. One Tuesday, while running a title search, my address on Elderberry Lane appeared. The 2005 record omitted Miriam as owner. It read, "Miriam Thorne, trustee for the Silas Vance Testamentary Trust, for the benefit of Elena M. Thorne." The floor tilted. Silas hadn't left her a burden. He had left me a legacy. He'd mandated the title transfer to me when I turned 21. Miriam had been in breach of fiduciary duty for 16 years. I dug into the probate records. There was a savings account, too, $38,000 for my education. Miriam had closed it in 2008, the same year she bought the sedan she'd saved for. Every dollar I'd sent for upkeep and mortgage was padding for her lies. She hadn't just taken a house, she had stolen my future to keep me under her thumb. I tracked down the retired attorney, Arthur Penhaligon. When he answered, his voice was thin but sharp. "Lark? Silas's Lark?" He confirmed everything. He had even warned Miriam of her duties years ago. "She told me she had it handled," he sighed. He provided a sworn affidavit and the original trust documents. I didn't scream. I gathered my receipts. I spent Saturday organizing a paper trail that spanned 2 decades. Miriam had scheduled a Sunday dinner to announce she was adding Julian to the deed. She thought she was gifting him my inheritance. I was ready to show her that she cannot give away what she never truly held as her own. The board was now prepared, and I was holding all the winning pieces. I was finally done being the silent, obedient little victim. Sunday morning arrived gray and sharp. I reached Elderberry Lane at 4, my grandfather's satchel heavy on my shoulder. Julian was outside, acting like he already owned the garden, while Miriam orchestrated the table inside. When we finally sat, she raised her wine glass. "Tonight, I'm making Julian a part of this home's legacy. We're signing the new deed." She pushed the fraudulent paper toward me, gloating. I didn't blink. I reached into my bag and pulled out my folder. I slid the certified trust deed over the tablecloth. "You can't sign that, Mom. You don't own this house." The silence was a physical weight. Miriam's eyes scanned the legal header, her jaw tightening until it clicked. "This is junk," she hissed, but her shaking hands betrayed her. "Arthur Penhaligon disagrees," I countered. I turned to Aunt Clara, whose face showed confusion. "She took your $15,000 in bonds too, Clara. It's all documented." Julian didn't wait for dessert. He saw the legal firestorm and vanished, the sound of his tires crunching gravel the only eulogy for their romance. Miriam tried to weep, but I was out of sympathy. I gave her an ultimatum: sign the title transfer now, or face a public trial for 16 years of theft. She signed in a jagged, angry scrawl. I didn't evict her. I drafted a strict lease where I am the landlord and she is a guest. The power shifted, finally resting where Silas intended. This January, I sat in my first law lecture, my grandfather's satchel at my feet. The professor simply asked our purpose. I didn't speak. I just touched the leather deed in my bag. Silas's promise was finally kept.